Alright guys, sorry about that. My computer had some technical difficulties. But where I left off was tertiary. So which country has about 1/3 of its workers employed in the tertiary sector, the services sector? According to the graph, 79% of the United States has their population working in the USA. So the answer was the United States. Number 30 is asking, based on that information, which country seems to be most developed? Again, the answer is going to be the United States, and the reason is because based on the pie chart, more people that work in the services sector in the United States are in the United States, which basically means they're more developed. Why? Well, the reasons why is because the more people that are working in the tertiary sector, the more developed the country is because the more training and education is required to work in those jobs. Therefore, this is an indicator that the education system is good and that the literacy rates are high in this country. So the development is high. These countries and education. Awesome. Turning the page. Okay, another thing that I went over while the video was malfunctioning was number 31. Now, there are some resources available for you guys if you do have access to YouTube or anything like that. You definitely can look this up, European colonization. We have talked about this a few times in my class. And so let's go ahead and get started. This is going to occur between the 15 and 1700s. Then we're going to get another situation that happens in the 1800s called the Scramble for Africa. This is going to be in the 1800s, and it's mainly going to be European countries taking over Africa. But European colonization as a whole starts in the 1500s to 1700s from the Americas all the way to Africa. And so Europeans are going to want to take over places like the Americas and Africa because they want to expand trade. They believed that there was gold in these regions. They needed the resources there, like gold, which I hashtag the 3Gs because this goes along with God, gold, and glory, the three main reasons that Europeans wanted to take control over these new territories. Again, resources, things like spices and silk are going to be major reasons for their colonization. Territory and power. Gaining new land, gaining new territory would give them more power, and hashtag, again, glory, going along with the 3Gs. Spreading the word of God, and I put hashtag God here because they also believe that part of this was their mission to spread the word of God. The effects are going to be lack of development in Africa. Europeans are going to become more developed, and ethnic conflict and war is going to occur in African countries, even to all the way to the present day right now. Economic, political instability, and one thing I put here at the bottom is diversity. Because of European colonization, there's a lot of diverse languages and ethnic groups all throughout Africa, which actually is a positive thing. So although all these are negative, there is some positive here. Of course, Europe being more developed is a positive as well, but that only pertains to Europe. While one side is going down, the other side's going up, right? The analogy I like to use a lot when I'm talking about European colonization is the movie Mean Girls, where you have Regina George basically turning her friends against each other so that she can maintain control over her friends. Very well. Number 32 is asking, explain a possible reason why many African nations struggle to maintain peace in a stable government. And so the answer that I wrote down, many African nations today struggle to maintain peace and stable governments because of centuries of being divided and conquered by European nations, right? Hashtag Scramble for Africa. Okay. Number 33, explain how decisions made by Europeans during the scramble for Africa still affect Africans today. Well, I put decisions made during the scramble for Africa still affect Africa today. For example, many African countries aren't very stable due to the fact that Europeans divided Africa amongst ethnic groups, creating ethnic diversity. Example, Sudan. Number 34 is asking how did colonialism and imperialism affect Europeans. And so Europe gained wealth, power, advanced technology, and developed as a whole, became more developed, advanced. GDP went up, technology went up, everything went up for Europe. Alright guys, what we're going to do next is basically turn to your textbook. I know you don't have a copy, but you can use this video, and I am also going to be making more copies, basically taking pictures of the textbook and posting them on Teams so that you can read along with me. And so we're going to be going to page 268 and 269 first in your textbook. And basically I'm just going to read the textbook aloud to you, and then you're going to go on to the independent practice and exit ticket for the day. So, main idea. To expand trade, Europeans explored Africa, Asia, and the Americas and established colonies on all three continents. Around 1415, Prince Henry of Portugal decided that he would send explorers to Africa to establish new trade routes. Henry, who became known as Prince Henry the Navigator, founded a navigation school. The school taught sailors about map making and shipbuilding and marked the beginning of the age of exploration, European exploration. Portugal was the first of many European countries to sponsor voyages of exploration. Europeans wanted to find gold and establish trade with Asia to obtain spices, silk, and gems. They also wanted people in their lands to convert or change their religion to Christianity. Again, this is one of the 3 G's, #God here. The voyages were filled with danger. Explorers often sailed for months, and ships that were small and not always able to withstand storms were often destroyed in these storms. The men also faced diseases and attacks by native people. Furthermore, the explorers were traveling to unknown lands. Mapmakers often marked unexplored places with phrases, "Here be dragons." Nonetheless, Portuguese explorers such as Bartholomew Diaz and Vasco da Gama sailed along the coast of Africa in the late 1400s to open up trade to Asia. Italian explorer Christopher Columbus uncovered a new world, the continent of North America and South America, in 1492. A real fun trick to remember this is Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Again, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. It's an easy way to remember this fact. In the 1530s, Jacques Cartier explored parts of North America for France, as the Englishman Sir Francis Drake sailed around the world in 1577. Moving on to establishing colonies. In addition to trade, Europeans used the voyage of exploration to claim lands of their own. When explorers landed in a new place, they declared those lands a colony. A colony is an area controlled by a distant country. As you have learned, Spanish explorers claimed colonies in Mexico and South America. The French and the English also established colonies in North America. This is why I'm speaking English right now, and the reason a lot of you know Spanish, because of European colonization. So we can still see and feel the effects today. By 1650, European countries controlled parts of Africa and Asia as well. European exploration and colonization resulted in the sharing of goods and ideas known as the Columbian Exchange. From the Americas, Europeans obtained new food such as potatoes, corn, and tomatoes. Europeans introduced wheat and barley to the Americas. They also introduced diseases like smallpox, which is a big reason why Native Americans are going to be wiped out by the European colonizers or conquerors. Moving on. And so we're going to move on to another section in your textbook. Now we're going to be looking at the effects of European colonization, basically. And this is going to be chapter 13 in your textbook, page 376. Now again, don't worry about that. I'm going to be making PDF versions of these pages so that you can easily read along with me at home at your own pace or with me on these videos, your choice. So we're on, again, colonization and independence. or to independence, main idea. European powers colonized and ruled large parts of Africa until Africans began independence movements in the mid-1900s. As you've learned, Portuguese began exploring the African coast in the 1400s. By the 1500s, many European nations were seeking to control large parts of Africa. Imperialism is the practice of extending a nation's influence by controlling other territories. European imperialism in Africa began when Europeans started trading with slave merchants on the coast. Little by little, Europeans moved into African lands in search of profitable resources. Eventually, several European countries conquered African lands and established colonies. The practice of directly controlling and settling foreign territories is known as colonialism. By the mid-1800s, European powers began to fight over the African colonies. They wanted more natural resources to fuel industrialization or the transition to large-scale industries in Europe. Because of advanced European weapons, there was little the Africans could do to stop them. In 1884, Europeans held the Berlin Conference to settle their disputes about colonialism claims in Africa. This is often known as the Scramble for Africa. No Africans were invited to attend. Europeans at the conference divided Africa amongst themselves. By 1910, France, Germany, Belgium, Portugal, Italy, Spain, and Great Britain had established themselves as colonial powers in all parts of Africa. Many Europeans believed that African cultures, and religions were inferior to those of Europe. They wanted to change African traditions. Europeans sent missionaries, people sent by the church, to spread their religion amongst native populations, to convert Africans basically to Christianity. In the early 1900s, Pan-Africanism, a movement to unify African people, grew amongst African leaders in London and amongst African leaders in Africa around the world. By the 1950s and 60s, this nationalist movement had brought together many African leaders. Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya and Kaiwa Nkrumah of Ghana helped to gain independence for their people. In 1963, the Organization of African Unity, OAU, was founded to promote Pan-Africanism. The OAU is known today as the African Union. It continues to promote African unity and cooperation amongst all functions as an economic group, similar to the European Union. Awesome. Alright, so what we're going to be doing next class is working on our independent practice. Your independent practice will be posted after this video, and then you're going to be working on your exit ticket. I want to remind all of you, if you're watching this video, that you must work on your independent practice first before working on your exit ticket. Hope you have a great day.